federal government subsidy removal, now we have the updates of an 18-month extension and for the National Assembly to make amendments to the Petroleum Industry Act. And here in the state is about the concluded retreats by the State Executive Council with a focus on teaming for excellence. We are just getting to know that now in this press release by the state government signed by the Commissioner for Information on the Vanguard reports on Akwa Ibom State Exco retreat as follows. Now in the studio we have John Woods. He's Executive Director for Policy, Political and Civil Rights Advocacy Group. I so have you as always.
Thank you for having me today.
Quickly, let's get that reaction and settle in on the conversation from the part of the federal government about 18 months, where you were privy to the publications yesterday. You read that of the Vanguard and you saw what now has been a release. Before we take your opinion, we have to actually go to the release also did.
Yes, the release actually came in from the media assistant to the Honorable Commissioner. That was yesterday, 25th day of January 2022, Tony Udo. And it goes like this. The attention of the Honorable Commissioner for Lands and Water Resources, Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Omoino, has been drawn to a spurious, fictitious, false and blackmail-laden story in Vanguard newspapers with the above caption. This story represents a new low in the morally repulsive industry of blackmail. As the political season unfolds, certain desperate people will engage in disinformation and deliver fabrications against those they may target, all with the intention of positioning their sponsors and taking undue advantage of the public in the process. We are not unmindful of this, but what surprises in this case is that these desperate fellows could discern so low as to plan such a fictitious story and attribute words they know never emanated nor were ever uttered by the individual they claimed made those known. For the sake of the reading public, we wish to place on record that Pastor Eno is a man not given to speaking glibly. As a corporate and public sector centric person, he understands the core principles.
You know, the whole story from the Vanguard newspaper, concerning the incidents that was being reported, made so many mentions of Pastor Moeno. And then this is what should have been done prior to the press release that we saw that was released on behalf of the Akwa Ibom State government by the Honorable Commissioner for Information, Comrade Nemebo. It is something that should be interrogated. Why the state government would, take it upon itself to respond to issues that related to an individual. You understand? When the state government...
The individual is a member of the State Executive Council.
No, that does not make it something the government... Of course, in the release, government says they do not spend public resources for propagating individual interests. And in this case, this is what has been done. The public resources of dissemination of information, state apparatus has been used in defense of Pastor Omoeno, who has now come to defend himself, who has come to refute that information. It should have been left that way. Pastor Omoeno should have come out to refute because the information was said to have emanated from him. So his media unit should have come up, refute that information. And outside refuting the information, there are other legal opportunities. There are other legal sources for you to use, like suing Vanguard, suing whoever the author was. If you know that this is defamation and it has affected your personality and the public perception about you, you should approach a court of competent jurisdiction and sue the newspaper and the author of that news, since it is malicious and defamatory.
Yeah, if you look at the rebuttals, the talk is about denying granting any interview to the press or to a journalist, or a reporter for that matter.
Yes,
if you look at the Vanguard newspaper, the report is that he was speaking to
core loyalists. Core loyalists. The report itself never made mention of any interview, granting any interview. And for those of us who have had times we've been around politicians, we've always seen that most times when you are sitting around a politician you are his core loyalist, they make these discussions, they discuss these things. These things are meant to be off record. They are not supposed to be, something that should appear, should be in the public space. So yes, I'm not saying he made those statements or he didn't. But he was not speaking to the press